Hey everybody, this is Hewitt here. A little bit of a content warning for this episode. We're going to be addressing Hurricane Katrina as well as a couple other hot topic issues such as mental health and potential death and or suicide. So if that's not what you really want to listen to, maybe skip this episode. We recommend a couple others, like maybe watch Un Gros Hospital or Lady Longfingers, or maybe watch or listen to the one about the Rougarou. But, hey, we love you, and if you need to skip this one, we fully understand. Welcome y'all to Backwoods Obscura, a podcast dedicated to the lore, legends, and myths surrounding the creatures that may lurk in your backyard. My name's Hewitt.
I'm Chris. How you doing?
I'm oddly enough doing well after spending $250.
I mean, it could have been like $400 or $500.
Oh, it could have been. Yeah, I had air conditioner work done today. Apparently, I have an old air conditioner that uses old Freon that is no longer cool to make because it may or may not totally does give the people who make it cancer.
Wow, I love that.
It's the original Freon from the 1940s and 50s. That is what my air conditioner uses because it's that old.
Really?
Yes, it is the second air conditioner for this house, and this house was built in 1958.
See, I got lucky. We have like a fairly recent, like I say recent within the past like 4 or 5 years, HVAC system. So
yeah, mine's not new. But yeah, so did that. Hey, do you want to know something that'll remind you of our childhood?
Maybe.
So I was pulling up to school this morning and had to reinflate a tire. That reminds me of high school. And I watched the resource officer at my school arresting someone who got out of a car that had the ghost of Snoop Dogg following them the second the door opened.
Well, that's not good.
And as he was getting arrested, because he was definitely under the influence of something, he started, I was going to go to school, but then I got high.
Is this a real story, Hewitt?
Yes.
So,
I started laughing because the car who dropped him off peeled the hell off and got pulled over at the mortician across the street.
well, that's not good.
So here's the deal. 1, should be legal. 2, don't show up to school high. 3, don't show up to school while smoking or imbibing of the devil's foot lettuce.
The devil's foot lettuce. Okay, we need to stop doing that. We're
going to get slapped by...
fucking Chills is going to be like, stop doing that.
When you stop saying Burger King foot lettuce, we will stop making fun of you for it.
You hurt my feelings.
If you were supposed to have feelings...
Actually, I think he's pretty chill.
No, I'm sorry. I was about to say something my dad told me as a kid. If you were supposed to have feelings, they would have been issued to you.
Damn.
My dad was in the military.
Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
hashtag, never raise your kids that way. Let them have all the feelings they need and should have so they can learn to deal with the ones they're not ready for.
So, yeah, I fixed my tires for the most part.
Nice.
Not really like in the most advantageous way. I'm pretty sure my mechanic's going to be like...
Why did you do this?
Yeah, but I mean...
Did you fix a flatum?
Yeah, I did.
You know you can't use that spigot again, right?
Uh-oh. Actually, I can.
Okay. I know that originally when Fix a Flat first came out, you could only spray it in.
I mean, I used it afterwards, so, you know.
Oh, no, I'm saying the tire itself. Like, because Fix a Flat is you're spraying a plastic or a rubber into the inside of the tire.
Oh, yeah, no. Once that tire is flat, it's
you're not going to be able to hook a hose up to it and blow air into it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, I should be able to blow air into it, but, I mean, if it breaks again, it's...
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Anyway, do you want to learn of a rather cool / depressing / awesome / maybe haunted story?
I always love a good haunting.
So, have you heard of Charity Hospital in New Orleans? Also known as Big Charity.
I've heard of Big Charity. They're up there with Big Pharma.
No, they're not.
Oh, my bad.
So, The current Charity Hospital, the building once known as Charity Hospital, resides at 1532 Tulane Avenue in New Orleans, Louisiana. This is the 6th edition. It was built in 1933 and finished in 1944 with PWA, Public Work Administration money from the New Deal. And if you ever go to New Orleans and you see it from the highway. Like if you ever go down I-10 or you go down 55, like if you pass through any of the highways that go, well, not 55. If you pass through any of the interstates that go through New Orleans, you will go by Big Charity. You cannot miss this monster. So, it is a 20-story tall Art Deco building with 13-story tall wings and a M shape off to the side. Are you Googling it right now?
Yeah, I'm Googling it right now because I'm wondering if I've seen it before.
You have. You know what? I guarantee you've driven past it. Either on the interstate or on Tulane without knowing you're on Tulane.
Oh, it's that building.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this building
That giant-ass scary building in New Orleans?
Yeah. The shit that Zool would come out of.
Yeah, 100%, right?
Yeah, that's
very much 100% the 1930s Art Deco masterpiece. Now, it is a steel frame with a concrete structure that is encased in Alabama limestone, and it is decorated in the Art Deco fashion, both outside and inside. Now, here's a fun little tidbit before I start getting into anything else about it. It was designed by Weiss, Dreyfus, and Seaforth, and Dreyfus decided that the building needed to have a whole lot of duck artwork inside the building because of Huey Long.
Just ducks?
Just ducks. There used to be multiple murals across the inside and of ducks and mosaics of ducks. Because Long took cuts of every worker's pay from the building while it was being constructed as campaign donations. So Dreyfus said the ducks are flying away. So he put all the ducks on the inside as a tongue-in-cheek, spiteful joke against Louisiana's most infamous, famous governor, Huey P. Long.
Lord.
The facility also has a 15-story nurse's residence behind it, a laundry, ambulance house, maintenance shop, and the basement was the powerhouse with multiple generators big enough to power most of the city of New Orleans. It was meant to be a 100% self-contained, self-sufficient medical complex when it was finished in 1940.
So it was basically... It could, like, survive on its own if there was, like, a natural disaster.
Yes, that was the point. So that is the physical structure that is located at the current location of Charity Hospital. Now, Charity Hospital is one of the oldest continuous running hospitals in the United States. It was founded on May 10th, 1736, with a grant from Jean-Louis, a French sailor, possibly pirate and shipbuilder, who in his will put, "I want a hospital built for the poor of the city of New Orleans who cannot take care of themselves." The original name was L'Hôpital des Pauvres de la Charité, also known as the Hospital of St. John. It was originally located on the corner of Chartres and Bienville. In 1743, it moved to Basin Street because it outgrew its first location.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
The third building was built in 1785 and renamed San Carlos Hospital. It was destroyed by a fire in 1809. Ether is hella flammable.
Yeah, I would assume so. Also, just I love how a lot of things in New Orleans, it's like there was a fire.
There was a fire. Well, I mean, look, dude, the original one not burning down in the 1780s, 1790s fire of New Orleans. Surprise.
That is true.
Now, It was temporarily relocated to the Cabildo in Jackson Square and then moved to a dilapidated plantation house until the fourth building was built in 1834, where it was the new hospital was taken over by the Sisters of Charity, and that's how it got its new name. Charity Hospital was run by the Sisters of Charity. It was a nun-run hospital.
So it became like... Did it become like a Catholic hospital?
Well, it was always kind of a Catholic hospital. I mean, it's L'Hôpital des Pauvres de la Charité, or Hospital of St. John.
I guess when I think of like a Catholic hospital, I think of the place I used to work where, like, literally the Catholic Church ran it.
Not so much anymore now, but yes. So, now it became a teaching hospital at this time, and they petitioned the state for land for a medical school if it admitted patients for free for 10 years. And until the 1960s, Charity Hospital admitted every patient for 100% free.
Wow. Okay, wait a minute. Like, until the 1960s?
Until the 1960s, Charity Hospital in New Orleans, big charity, admitted patients 100% free.
So is this like treating patients, or is it?
Treating patients, educational hospital, surgery, transfusions, births, all of it. So, hey, Big Uncle Joe, you don't have that much time left in office right now, but could you take a really good example from Big Charity and maybe reinstitute that we have a free hospital system in the United States? Just saying, not all of them, but like we have to have like a free hospital system. Like if we could get it right in the 17 and 1800s, I'm pretty sure in the year of our Lord Megatron 2024 that we can have a free hospital.
Look, man, we just need less debt, man. You know how it is.
Legit, dude. Legit.
I don't want to break my leg.
Now that we've tried the election cycle.
No, wait a fucking minute. Just I don't want to break my leg and have to spend $1,200. Okay, man. Come on, man.
Help a boy out.
Help corn pop out. Anyway.
No, help pop out. Help pop out. Now, yeah. So in 1847, LSU was founded, and the hospital's medical school fell under its umbrella. So Charity Hospital became part of the Louisiana State University system, but it was still run by the Sisters of Charity. It's just connected to the school system and was the medical school for the state. Now, in 1850, it had 1,000 beds and was the largest hospital in the world, according to one source. By 1858, the yellow fever outbreak, 2,700 patients were admitted. 1,300 patients died of yellow fever in the 1858 pandemic.
Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
In 1884, Paul Tulane bequeathed $1.25 million of 1884 money.
How much?
1.25 million of 1884 monies. Do me a favor. Use your fancy dancy phone to calculate.
Use my fancy dancy phone.
Let's get that inflation calculator out here.
Inflation calculator. Let's see what we got. CPI inflation calculator. Okay, so what date am I looking at?
1884.
1884. I gotta go. It only goes to 1913.
You know what? Go to 1913. Let's see what $1.25 million from 1913 would be today.
Oh, it's an error. Like it doesn't.
Oh no!
Do it.
Oh no!
Let's see. Okay, wait a minute. I got a different one. Okay, what was the year?
1884. He did not expect homework tonight, folks.
I didn't expect homework. Okay, so what is the
1.25 million?
It doesn't pop up. It's like.
Okay, let's just say I'm pretty sure it's at least 10 times.
That's like that would be like a billionaire in our terms.
Yeah, this is quite literally like if a not shitty billionaire, I'm hard pressed to find one off the top of my head, was to donate money for both a medical school and a university, and that is where Tulane University in downtown Monroe, not downtown Monroe, but downtown New Orleans. Got its establishment, and it is almost right across the street
from
Charity. Now, this is where we're going to start bouncing control of Charity multiple times, because when Tulane was founded, it took control of Charity Hospital. It was still completely free. By 1933, when the 6th building was established, the building was divided between LSU and Tulane. So one wing was LSU, one wing was Tulane. Can you guess why there were two wings?
Racism.
Yeah, there were two wings.
Systemic racism.
Because of segregation.
Yeah.
One wing was meant for white patients and one wing was meant for black patients. Now, in 1939, the hospital had 2,680 beds, and opened to the public, making it one of the top 3 largest hospitals in the United States at the time. 70% of the funding came from the PWA to build the building. Work on the hospital got stalled because of Long being suspicious with funding. But in 1935, all of that was solved because Long got shot.
Oh.
Long got assassinated, and his stealing money from the project stopped so they could finish the hospital.
Well, that's good, I guess.
Hey, Dr. Weiss, good on you.
It's like...
You know what? No, I should not say that. We do not advocate violence on this, but pretty sure one of Huey's bodyguards shot him, and the Dr. Weiss just slapped the hell out of him, and then got shot like 60 fucking times. Which meant somebody reloaded. They had Model A 1911 Colt 45s, 7 bullets apiece. He was shot 60 plus times. Someone reloaded on him.
You know, they say that Huey P. Long could have been president.
And he would have sided with Nazi Germany.
That's true. Probably, yeah.
No, it's not maybe. He wrote letters of admiration to Adolf Hitler.
It's so wild because I see, like, some people politically, like, be like, yeah, he was so cool. It's like, yeah, he did some good things, okay, but he also did some very horrible things.
Let's be honest. Huey Long helped the state of Louisiana. He did.
Yeah.
He took his money off the back end of a project, unlike our politicians today that take it off the front end and then we can't finish it. At least, even though it was a $5 million bridge, and we ended up paying $6 million for it, and Huey made $1 million and scattered amongst all of his boys, we still got a new bridge. That's the reason people love Huey Long. He gave kids free lunch and gave them school books.
Right.
He helped white and black. But that does not mean he doesn't deserve an asterisk next to his name for all the suspects he did. Now, fun story about Huey Long before we get back into mine. He knew FDR had polio.
Really?
So, before he tried to unseat FDR, which I don't think ever would have worked, because his brand of politics worked in like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, maybe Texas. If he took his whole thing up north, I don't think it would have worked because there's 5 other demagogues that fell flat across the rest of the country at this time. But
right.
He was talking to FDR, and every time he made a point, he slapped his straw hat on FDR's leg. And he started doing it so much that FDR figured out Huey must know I can't walk. And one of his aides that wrote down about this figured that Huey knew FDR could not walk, and he was trying to lightly hint like, hey, son, if you don't do what I want and you get along with the Share the Wealth program with me and you send some more money to Louisiana, this senator / governor is going to let everybody know you Frankensteining it to the podium. Because that's how FDR walked, is he would lock 2 metal braces in place and have his son on one side of him or somebody else on one side of him, and he would literally hip walk like a toddler up to the podium. And he never let anybody do it. Most people in America did not know he had polio until after he died.
Yeah, I think there was actually... Aren't there recorded speeches of him at the podium standing?
Yeah. That's how he did. In fact, his car also had hand mechanisms to drive that were hidden all underneath vision. So everything, like, if you ever see FDR, like a video of FDR driving, he's reaching down his right hand, like, between his legs, because that's where all the floor pedal controls were. But since he was not a short man... It
is so fucking... Yeah, not to interrupt, but it is so fucking wild. Like, that is a problem in the time that FDR was president.
Well, polio was a death sentence back then, man.
Right, but also, like, he was disabled. He wasn't, like...
Oh, God, no. They would have pitched a whole...
Yeah, it wasn't that he had polio. It was because he was disabled. Let's be real. But yeah, getting back to
the point. But here's the deal: one of the things they actually treated at Charity for a while was polio because the warmer temperatures were believed to help.
Isn't that with the White Death as well?
Tuberculosis needs a dry climate. That's
why
a lot of clinics for that were in Arizona and Colorado.
What was the one? It's the big place that people go to with the body shoot.
Oh yeah, they sent tuberculosis and insane folks to Waverly Hills.
Waverly
That
Hills.
was a tuberculosis asylum. That's the reason why everything had big windows up there. Is they believed fresh air would help clean the lungs.
Right. Like I forget where that's at though.
Kentucky.
So okay, so there's fairly dry air.
I
there.
would like to go there if they hadn't turned the bottom 2 floors into a haunted house attraction.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tried to do a renovation, tried to turn it into an Airbnb, but they couldn't. It's too big of a facility.
But yeah, moving on.
Anyway, between the 1970s and 1990s, ownership would bounce back and forth until full ownership of Charity Hospital would go back to LSU in the late 90s. Not that made much of a difference when 2005 arrived and Hurricane Katrina hit. Now, here's the deal. I teach kids who are so much younger that they don't remember what Obama's inauguration was. So talking to them about Hurricane Katrina in a geography class is 100% history for them.
It's wild because I remember that vividly.
Yeah, I remember everything. I was in college. I moved into the new apartments on campus, and we just got like Ethernet, like DSL, high-speed internet, and it got cut out for a month. And I remember my roommate being so shitty about it.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, like, dude, we got it bad with no internet, but we still have power. We still have bathroom. We can still go to college. New Orleans still has 15 foot of other places water in it.
Yeah.
So Hurricane Katrina hit. There were 360 patients that were unable to be moved from Charity, and there were 1,200 staff trapped by the storm. Now, most of the staff were part of the disaster relief team. They were there because they were supposed to be there for when the emergencies hit, because everybody knew Katrina was going to be bad. They didn't know she was going to be a monster. Like, let's be honest, we all knew Katrina was going to be bad before she hit.
Yeah.
We didn't expect the levees to break. We didn't expect thousands of people to die. And we didn't expect the absolute and utter failure on a state and federal level to help. We did not expect that.
Yeah. I've heard people say, I mean, it actually makes sense. Like, it is actually kind of comparable to, like, I mean, if we're going to use historical terms, like 9/11, in terms of, like, a disaster.
Hold on. We've lived through 9/11. We lived through Katrina.
Yeah.
We lived through... I am tired of a once-in-a-century event happening every year. Like, eventually we got to run out of them, right?
Yeah. It's like, it is comparable to that sort of level of just devastation. Like, because, like, I was about to say 9/11. 9/11 was bad. Katrina was just, it wasn't just citywide. It was, like, parish.
Katrina was there are still class action lawsuits against insurance agencies over Katrina.
Yeah.
Like, we're talking nearly 20 years later, unsettled lawsuits because insurance companies are trying to claim act of God versus, I don't know, a whole fucking wall of water smacking my house and I have flood insurance.
Yeah.
But, so, most people that were part of the disaster team, most of the patients could not be moved. These are people on breathing machines,
people
on
in
dialysis,
ICU,
people on dialysis, people with diseases, or people with gunshot wounds. Like, I don't have it written down here, but there's one kid with a gunshot wound from like 2 days before Katrina. He could not be moved because he got shot in the abdomen, and the bullet was lodged partially in his spine. And because that surgeon was not on the relief team, they could not move that kid, because if they moved him, that bullet could be jostled and sever his spine, leaving him paralyzed. So here's a 22-year-old, and I'll go ahead and say some of the sources were very ugly about describing him, trying to say it was gang violence and all this other stuff. That doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah, what matters is the fact that he's a human life.
He's a human life with a bullet lodged near his spine that couldn't be moved. So there was a whole lot, most of the patients that were still in there could not be moved. Now, the initial hit and the initial storm the day of and the following day, everybody was saying it wasn't that bad. There's people going out taking smoke breaks outside. Folks went for walks down the street, went and visited with people with 2-lane down the road. And then all of a sudden, the water started to rise shortly before the end of the second day after Katrina. The water started going up, and it started going up, and it started going up, and it flooded the bottom of the building, knocking out the generators.
Oh. Now, I think there was a movie based on this, right?
There's 2 other locations in New Orleans that had similar stories, and I'm going to do the other hospital because they cleaned up Charity, because there was a while before I get to the end. Charity could have been reopened. Charity could still
be reopened
as a hospital to serve the central New Orleans area. There's another hospital that, as of 2 years ago, still had Katrina water in its basement. Yeah.
Wow.
For everybody that didn't know that, he just made a face of like, I just sniffed vinegar. Like it was a completely repulsed face.
Like, if you're not from Louisiana, and especially if you're not from New Orleans, like, I don't think you really comprehend just how fucked the situation was.
There are,
like, I mean, we talked about it just now, but like, there are stories coming out like now of just like still people affected, like not just
if you walk through the French Quarter, you can still see about 20 feet up the max level of water in the French district, or the French Quarter, the Central Business District. You can still see where Katrina's water was. There is a high tide line, and the buildings that have cleaned themselves up since then have painted a black line to show where the water was at that time. Now, it's probably going to go away here in the next couple of years because it's almost been 20 years.
Right.
But Katrina is one of those once-in-a-century events that happened to Louisiana that affected damn near everybody in a state of about 4 million people.
Right.
Now, power is knocked out, so patients had to be manually ventilated. Staff had to move to higher floors because the basement flooded, knocking out power. The emergency room, the lobby, and the first floor and the business offices flooded. The first floor flooded, so they had to get up to the second and third floor to make sure patients did not sit in water or possibly drown. Now, they remained trapped within the building for 5 days. The structure took major damage due to the flooding and remaining open during this time because they could not go down and close any doors. Patients were filmed being ferried to Tulane. When they eventually were able to get people out 5 days later, they were filmed putting people in John boats on medical beds, doctors holding onto the side of a John boat with like at least 5 feet of water between them and the ground below, still pumping the manual ventilator before they could be taken across the street to be airlifted out, because Tulane had a helipad where Big Charity did not have as big of one. So I'm going to go out here and say this, and I don't say this often. Any doctor or nurse that was in Charity during this time are a motherfucking hero.
Oh, no. I was thinking the same thing, because think about, like, the dedication to the job, the fact that, like, there's not many people.
No, but also the fact that I'm going to hang off the side of a John boat because the Cajun Navy showed up.
Yeah.
And I'm still pumping that plastic bag to ventilate my patient. And then I'm going to swim back across to my hospital so I can do it for the next one.
Yeah.
This is dedication. This is the full acknowledgement of the Hippocratic Oath. These are good people. Regardless of what they might politically believe now, I will still stand on a soapbox and say these are good people because of what they did. Now,
there's not, again, I'll say there's not many people
who would do that.
Yeah.
Toilets backed up to where there was waste and trash because there's nowhere to put it. It was literally shit. Like, if you went and pooped in the toilet, it's going to be back in 5 minutes. And so you didn't poop in the toilet, so you went and found a room that nobody was in, and you shit. They were using IVs to remain hydrated. Like, they kept IVs for the patients, but the staff were sitting there with, like, IVs medically tied to their arms so that they could remain hydrated because they didn't have water.
Lord. Like, just imagine it. Like, I was actually sitting here thinking, it's like, how did they get food and water? And I guess that's like an ingenious way to do it.
They survived on IVs and pills.
Like, that's a pretty, like, it's a grim way, but it's also pretty ingenious.
It is. How many people do you think they lost in all of this?
Well,
they had 360 patients. How many did they lose?
I'm going to say 20.
8. They lost 8 of the most critical condition patients.
So these people, like,
my hat off to the staff of Charity Hospital 2005. They did something that a lot of people could not and would not do.
And they, like, yeah.
Now, the hospital never reopened after it closed.
Yeah, I heard it.
The hospital never reopened. Now, it did not need to be closed when it was. Multiple sources that I went and looked to, people I've talked to in New Orleans that were, because remember a while back, back 10 years ago before Vincent was born, we were in New Orleans once every quarter, if not twice a year.
Yeah.
And talking to people who were in the city, because 10 years ago, 2014, 2013, we're talking 7 years after Katrina. We're talking about you could still find houses that got lifted off their foundations on top of other houses in the city.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about like in the really bad neighborhoods. I'm talking about in the CBD, the Central Business District, or in the park area around City Park. So it didn't need to be closed. It had been mostly put back into working order within a few weeks. Now, was there millions of dollars of damage that needed to be fixed? Yes. But it didn't need to be left abandoned like it was. So in 2015, University Medical Center of New Orleans replaced both it and University Hospital, its sister hospital, that had been opened, leaving both buildings abandoned for over a $1 billion medical facility that has been reported to be understaffed, under-equipped to deal with a city like New Orleans.
So they just abandoned Charity Hospital.
They just completely abandoned it.
For another one that just isn't up to snuff.
Modern standards, it's part of the LSU Teaching Hospital Network, so it is a 100% modern hospital. But the problem that we run into in the American medical system is that it is always underfunded, it is always understaffed because we have for-profit fucking hospitals.
Well, you also have to consider the fact that, like, I think for every doctor, there's at least 4 administrative staff that have to parse out all of the
paperwork. But here's the deal. Before I continue on about the hauntings, I'll talk about the real terrible ghost of this story. And that is, we do not need to turn the medical industry or the education industry into a for-profit industry, because both of those are supposed to be charities. And as somebody that is still nominally Christian, to everybody else out there that is, these are things we're supposed to be taken care of by tenets of the faith. And it's the right thing to do. You take care of the sick, the weak, and the wounded. But anyway,
I actually did want to say something, just as my perspective on it. You say charity. Charity in the Christian sense makes sense, but like from a secular standpoint, I think it's just the right thing to do to not only better society but better yourself.
It's always the right thing to do to take care of these folks.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've turned this system into what it is today is a travesty. Which again, if anyone is listening, please donate to Team Bonus Action so that you can help folks through the Children's Miracle Network, so you can make sure parents don't have ungodly medical bills to take care of. Now, let's talk about something that's not serious, not a soapbox, and not our political beliefs, poisoning what might be the now 11 members of our listening audience.
Oh, dang.
We lost
it was 12. They lost one.
We lost one because all of a sudden, there's socialized healthcare. You assholes. I don't even want socialized healthcare. Just don't put people in the medical debt. So let's talk about ghosts. That's the point of this, right? Ghosts.
Let's talk about the spookiness.
So, in general, it is believed that the day-to-day trauma and activities of Charity Hospital have resulted in the building being haunted, which makes sense because you have birth, deaths, and everything in between that may or may not have left an impression on the building.
Okay, so it's not necessarily like, it's because of Katrina.
We're going to get to that. But I'm just saying, in general, I am hard-pressed to find a hospital. Much like I said, I'm hard-pressed to find a theater that is not haunted. Every hospital is supposedly
Well, there's so much life and death.
Well, people die there.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden it's like, I saw a patient walking in the hallway that wasn't there. I'm like, why the fuck did you go in an abandoned hospital? Like, I'm just going ahead and say this. Why are you going in a ghost adventure in an abandoned hospital? No, thank you. No, thank you. There's a lot of weird crap.
Okay,
there.
like even as a skeptic, if you see like some ghosts in a hospital, it's like, oh, that makes sense. I'm in a fucking hospital.
Where am I? Oh, I'm near the morgue. Makes some sense. Now, reports. Okay, sorry. Countless stories of disembodied voices, footsteps, and just full-bodied apparitions and shadow people abound from when the hospital was open till after the hospital was closed and Urban X people went in. Now, the most famous ghost story of Charity Hospital is in 2015 when reports of a Christmas tree lighting up in a random upper floor window.
I've seen the video of this, I think.
Yeah. Now, I've also seen the video of someone going into the building and figuring out why this happened, which could 100% be fake.
Oh, yeah.
Which also could be 100% real, but there was no power to the building at the time, and the window was fully lit up by a Christmas tree. Pictures were taken by nurse Lisa Staggs from Tulane across the street. Now, I do not believe this one faked anything. I think she was working at night, and all of a sudden she was looking out a patient's window, and a hospital that had been abandoned for a decade had a freaking window lit up like it was Christmas.
Yeah.
My first thought is, homeless people found a way to get power in the building. That's me. That's 100% me.
Yeah.
Her, on the other hand, it's a ghost. It's the ghost Christmas present. I'm like, you know what? If it makes you feel better, it's the ghost Christmas present.
At this point, you're in New Orleans. It could go either way.
Now, more than likely, what the 2015 Christmas tree in a window is, and there's TikTok, not TikTok. There's a Vine. There's also other.
You got to get the
videos.
millennial TikTok in there,
and you got some other short videos that were created at the time of people that went into the building and found excessively long extension cords, and there's a Christmas tree. Now, I'll be honest, the video that popped up on TikTok I think is 100% fake, because you could have gone into any window and any Gothic-looking, Gotham-esque Art Deco building and put a Christmas tree and not shown the outside really well and said, oh, look, I'm in New Orleans. It could have been Chicago, bitch. It could have been San Francisco or San Antonio.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't put a lot in the TikTok video. But what I believe with the 2015 Christmas video is that somebody put a Christmas tree and ran a bunch of extension cords because it was a funny prank by some Urban Xers.
Or it could have just been a battery.
Could have. Well, no, I think it was an extension cord because it was your cheap, standard Walmart 2 to 3 foot Christmas tree.
I mean, you could have put it on like a battery.
You could have, but I don't think anybody would have left a battery in there. They would have found a way to plug into some construction equipment.
Potentially, yeah.
So, any case, that's the most famous one. Now, Sister Stanislaus, who I could find no other information on, is reportedly watering the building. She was one of the nuns that greeted people. Jean-Louis has been rumored to haunt each location the hospital's been at, so I guess he's looking at his investment. Now, let's get into one of the things I discredit immediately because who is associated with it. Do you know who Bloody Mary in New Orleans is?
Bloody Mary.
Bloody Mary, the voodoo queen who owns the Voodoo Museum that's underneath the suicide murder Katrina house.
Are you talking about the lady that's in like every...
The lady who has appeared in Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, a middle-aged... Okay, forgive me. Anybody out there, and hey, Queen Mary, you know what? You do you, but I find it really hard to believe that a 50-something-year-old white lady that is from the city of New Orleans is a voodoo queen. When I know there's people who have lived in the mud of South Louisiana that I think are more voodoo than anything else. That's just me, because I feel like she is a wonderful business person when it comes to the supernatural and to anything like that. However, I don't believe anything she is associated with.
I think she was on...
she is very much friends with Zach Baggins.
Okay. I see the pattern.
And now, before you start shitting on Zach Baggins, because there's going to be some things in the future I talk about, he works for a network. They film multiple episodes.
Right.
They film multiple times in a place, and then someone else edits it together. Like, remember back in the day when we watched Ghost Hunters and they debunk stuff? We love that.
Yeah.
But viewers don't. So all of a sudden, starting around season 4 of that show, they stopped showing the debunks. They showed that this is what's happening. And that we're always finding ghosts. We're always finding a demon. Hell, we found a fey goblin in this one place one time. His name's Rupert.
Right. But I'm not saying that I don't know much about Zach Baggins personally, but like anyone connected with that, and I think I've seen him or seen her on.
She's also been on Most Haunted.
I think she was on like BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah, she is going to be involved because she is the lady and she knows the contact. Now, she supposedly has a haunted wheelchair from the hospital.
Of course, yes.
Well, no, she does have a wheelchair from the hospital, and it's one of the old ones. And they kept using the old wooden wheelchairs at charity because they weren't broke, so they didn't get new ones. So if you look at it, this is very much like oh shit, this is like 1800s wooden wheelchair.
I mean, that's a cool piece of history.
It is. But she was like, and the story is this doll that I had on the other side of the room, it keeps coming back to the wheelchair. I put it over here and it's in the wheelchair. I put it in another spot, it's in the wheelchair. I put it over here, it's in the wheelchair. I'm sorry, the way she did her YouTube videos was nails on the chalkboard to me. And I just have to call bullshit.
You're just like, I can't deal with this. No.
Like, I don't want to be mean. And I don't want this lady to actually curse me because maybe she knows how to do it. But also I feel like that's a Karen curse.
Well, you don't want to have the Karen curse.
Then all your wine will be sour.
All the wine will be sour and all your food will be spiceless.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Hey, Bloody Mary, don't curse me with the Karen curse because I like spices. I'm from Louisiana. I know what paprika is, okay? I don't want to lose that. I don't want to be COVIDed by voodoo. I'm going to call bullshit on the 3 videos that I watched from her because it was sensationalized. It was over the top. And I know that's what you go to New Orleans for, but like in this case, like, hey, here's the deal. Would I love to go on one of her tours where she does all this shit? 100%.
Right.
Because it's fun. I don't want to deal with this when I'm trying to do research about is this place legitimately haunted. Now, there have been multiple videos, and you can see them on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, of faces caught in the mirrors.
Now, is this a pareidolia thing?
And caught in windows. And I believe it's 100% pareidolia.
Okay.
Because it's like, if you look here, you can see that a child is looking from the bottom of the window.
If you look in the bottom left corner, you see the child's face staring back at you.
Or to quote Slapped Ham, oh, if you look down the hallway, you can see that somebody's looking out back there. Look, oh, little face right there. Oh, there you go. That's not how Slapped Ham does it at all, but I just want like a New Zealander or a British person about, oh, look at the American ghost. Not all that scary because, you know, they're all about capitalism. They still want to make money. It's not like a real true ghost over here that wants your soul.
The fucking capitalism ghost comes out and say, hey, man, you want to make a deal? You want to work in my factory?
I got spoops for money. I can spoop you for $5 right now.
You want to work in my spooky factory?
You want some ectoplasm? That's extra.
Work in my spooky factory. You get to have benefits. Just kidding. You don't get any benefits.
So, yeah, but now there's also several sightings of ghosts in the operating theater, which, by the way, when we get done with the podcast, just Google charity hospital operating theaters. They are fucking terrifying.
Is it like the old school, like, actual...
It's there's no seats, you're standing, and it's like, it doesn't look like there's enough room for a team of 5 people down there, but they're down there with all their tools and a body, and you're just going, yes, it's an appendix.
Oh, my Lord. Like, those already kind of skeeved me out a bit.
Yeah, I know, but like, oh, yes, this is a vasectomy. Yes, I'm watching you do the snip. Taking notes. So it's those places and the morgue have the most reports of
course,
the disembodied voices and all this. And you know what? I can give it just this much credence, but at the same time, I also put I've walked into a place that already makes me skeeved out. Therefore, it's no. I'm just creeped out, and I just heard I heard a pigeon. Oh, that was a ghost. Did you hear him cut him open? So there's that. But now, I don't give much credit to the stories that people have had. I don't give much credit to ghosts in the windows or ghosts in a mirror, because it's the same thing as look at this Tostitos chip. It has Jesus on it.
Right.
But
there's way too many stories out there for you to be like. I mean, I know that a lot of people say it's like, oh, there's so many stories that gives it credence, but it's like if you have 100 low quality stories, it does.
It's the thing is there's also a creepypasta and urban legend connected to Big Charity.
Oh.
So, there's a story of a health specialist who was sent in to check the safety of the hospital after it had been abandoned. So we're talking probably about 5-6 years after the hospital's been abandoned. So the specialist got lost in the hospital and she did not tell her boss where she was going. She did not inform the cops of where she was going, because she and her team found that there was barricades at the 5th floor on all the stairwells. So they, of course, creepypasta fashion, were going to go ahead and bash them down. Now, she thought it was built by the homeless people to keep out the ghosts. And took about a week to remove these barricades, because whoever built them wasn't just like homeless people shoving stuff. Like, they legit built
like a straight barricade.
Now, once they got past the barricade, she wandered off separate of her crew because she wanted them to remove the barricades to the 6th and 7th floor. And as she was walking around the 5th floor, she found that all the walls were painted black and that there was green words painted on them. More or less like weird things about a keeper, weird things about this certain lord would come for you and make every orifice ready.
Oh.
So I'm believing somebody might have been a Slanesh worshiper in this situation.
You gotta get every orifice ready and get it lubricated.
Put your holes up, son.
No, put your holes out, son.
She didn't have her phone, so she couldn't keep any records, so everything was just word of mouth. And the other reason she didn't have her phones is if this building was full of spores, the last thing you want to do as a medical specialist or a disease specialist is to carry a phone that you will keep next to your face that would then get covered in possibly toxic spores. So this video that I listened to was like 35 minutes long. The creepypasta I went and looked at was way too long. And it's one of those, like, the longer a ghost story goes, the less real it is.
Is it like a cool concept, but written out, it's just bad?
Yeah, it was bad writing. So to summarize what happened is she ended up finding that all the mental patients from the top floor of the hospital were abandoned. And they had been without their psychological medication. And they had been left to their own to survive for nearly 10 years. And eventually they were cleared out by the cops and gathered and sent to other hospitals, and everybody kept this hush-hush because they didn't want the state or the medical staff to look bad. Yeah. So let me go through some debunking real quick. This story is 100% false.
Wow, really? Huh. Interesting. I didn't think so.
I love Cedric and Evie, but Cedric told this story in front of a Big Charity on his ghost tour. Because it's a good story. It's a scary story. Because it's not a ghost story. It's a ghoul story, for lack of a better term. Because this is a actual individual, a physical person that has been unmedicated and abandoned and given into their psychosis. It's not okay. Let me go ahead and put out here. This story is not okay. It is slanderous and damaging to people with mental health issues, because it's stating that they're always dangerous. Now, are there some folks with some psychosis that
are dangerous? Yeah.
Are dangerous, yes. Should they always remain medicated? Yes. No medical professional, regardless of the situation, would abandon them.
Yeah, I was going to say, like...
without euthanizing them.
Like, it seemed a bit... I
hate to say it the way I just said it, but...
But, no, I was just saying it seems a bit, like, shitty to, like, make a story like that when, like, you know, we just started, we just talked about, like, the Katrina era.
Right. I mean, this is very I don't know if ableist is the right term for this one. It's very damning of people with severe mental health issues. And it's the reason I don't like that story, because every doctor that was involved would have lost their medical license and been arrested.
Right.
So
it's
everybody would have gone to jail. So there's nothing about this story that is true unless some homeless folks that did not have their medication moved into the building while it was abandoned and nobody was paying attention. But I doubt it would have gone on for a decade.
Right.
When during this decade, also people were supposedly lighting a Christmas tree way above the 5th floor.
And aside from that, I mean, even without that like little viral moment, I'm pretty sure people are in and out of there just urbexing.
It was, and also no one would have. There's no pictures of the black walls. There's no pictures of the green paint with the messages. This is just a good creepypasta, much like the Russian sleep experiment.
Right.
Now, other things. None of the images of ghost faces, anything is conclusive. It's all blurry and go, oh, look, that could be an eye.
Pareidolia. Kind of.
But let me be honest. Charity is a massive, looming building that has a massive footprint. It is Gotham in New Orleans. If you stand in front of it, it is not hard to feel tiny. Not just small, but tiny. So if there was going to be a scary hospital that you could tell a scary story in front of to a bunch of tourists and make a lot of money, it's Charity. Charity is 100% not haunted by anything that people claim it is. Is there probably a spirit to wandering the building because it's a hospital? I'll give that, but the story of the story of the crazy people / mental health patients being left alone, not true.
Well, it goes back to the idea that we talked about in the Lafitte's Blacksmith Show.
Yeah.
Like, Jean Lafitte might not, or likely does not haunt that place, but it's an old enough place that has seen a lot of history. And if you talk about a hospital, and if you believe in ghosts,
it makes sense.
It's a hotbed.
Now, do you want some stuff about Charity Hospital about today?
Okay.
They have attempted to reopen the hospital, but it failed as LSU was still in charge of the process. $550 million to renovate the hospital costs were spent to update it. However, it cost over $1 billion to build the new medical center. So it was cheaper to update Charity than build the new one, but someone made money off of the new one. LSU planned to redevelop the site as a mixture of apartments and shopping centers. Construction was supposed to start in 2019, but it failed. Also, the unpleasantness happened. However, Tulane now intends to move back into the building in 2025 and make it the center of its public health and tropical medicine program.
Okay.
It will take up roughly a third of the building because that's how big Charity Hospital is. You can put an entire college medical program in and fit 3 more entire college medical programs in the building.
Or just a full hospital, really.
And not touch the outbuildings. Now, it's also appeared in the media a lot. On TLC, it was in 2 different documentaries because it was one of the most busy hospitals for trauma because it was a free hospital. The Real World New Orleans was there. There's the Charity, Big Charity documentary. Spike Lee's If God's Willin', the Creek Don't Rise focused on the hospital. And the movie Renfield in 2023, Dracula's Lair was underneath Charity Hospital.
Okay. Now I need to see Renfield.
Yeah. So, well, we need to see it anyway because Nicolas Cage is Dracula.
Right.
Now, I've talked all about this, one of the most haunted sites in New Orleans. And I'm saying it's not. So I feel like I owe you something that's actually scary and haunted.
What's that?
Charity Hospital Cemetery number 1 / the Katrina Memorial Potterfield.
Oh, that sounds dark.
It is.
It's like Potter's Field, as in like paupers, like unnamed or like okay.
So at 5050 Canal Street, right at the corner of City Park, like there's a bar down the street, a good bar down the street. Again, ghost tours. They stop at the bar, get you a couple drinks, they take you across the street over to this little, very small cemetery. But that's only because you're allowed to a very small section of it. You're allowed to the memorial. You're not allowed to the entirety of it. Now,
I assume it's a place if you might have family there, then
you don't have. There's a chance you have family there, but if you do, you don't know it.
Oh.
Unless you can find records that your family member is somewhere out there, and you're still not going to find them.
Well, I'm saying like you wouldn't even be like unless like you have some connection to the cemetery, you're not going to be able to roam it.
Oh, you can't roam more than the memorial anyway.
Okay.
Unless you are connected to LSU, that still buries donated bodies to their medical programs there.
Oh wow.
So it is a Potter cemetery, which means it has multiple unmarked graves. It is near St. Patrick's and Cypress Grove cemeteries, which means it is part of the Greater New Orleans necropolis. Let's take this for a second because I love this. New Orleans has a necropolis.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking it's like you don't hear that term a lot with like modern cities or.
There are more dead buried in New Orleans currently than there are living, I believe.
Eventually that happens. Like, yeah, but
now it was established in 1848. It is one of a few graveyards in New Orleans where the dead are buried underground due to the yellow fever and the Spanish influenza, so that the bodies of the deceased will not spread the disease. If you dig in certain parts of this cemetery and one other cemetery in New Orleans where the plague pits are, you will release the yellow fever or the Spanish flu.
Yeah, there's a place like that in Shreveport too, I believe. Yeah.
There's one graveyard in Monroe that's like that. So that's also one reason you can't dig up the Confederate War Memorial in the dead center of town, because some of the folks that served in that war did die of yellow fever and got buried underneath it. So if you were to dig it up, the South would rise again by giving you fucking yellow fever, the bastards.
That's really uneasy considering like
that's a trap. That is an Indiana Jones style trap.
I'm not just talking about that. Like, okay, like this is exposing a little bit about Monroe's infrastructure.
The dead center of town has a 15-foot pillar with a Confederate soldier on top of it, and underneath it are 25 Confederate war dead.
Well, I'm talking about that cemetery in general is like giving way to a drainage.
Yeah, we have a drainage problem, and also the railroad wants to build over it.
Yeah.
Any case, yeah. So, since 2015, it has been the home of the Katrina Memorial, and is the resting place of 89 unclaimed bodies that are put into above-ground mausoleums.
Okay.
Now, the back of the cemetery is separated by a row of trees and a very large fence that has LSU's logo on it, and anyone beyond this point will be arrested for trespassing. Also, there are hazmat signs. If you dig out there, there is a chance you dig into a plague pit.
That's like unsettling.
Yeah.
Like, even without a haunting, it's like, yeah, if you dig out here.
You know what makes this better? It's on Canal Street, and the back of this cemetery is on 210, the road you come into New Orleans. So it's about almost a mile long.
It's almost a mile long, and it's located pretty close to like
everything. Welcome to the modern building infrastructure of a city. It is off limits. All that back area is off limits to tourists based on arrest if you're caught. Now, let's get into some of the supernatural reports. Wailing and crying have been recorded and reported from the graveyard, including security cameras from the graveyard across the street, a camera that records out into the road.
Right.
And it has picked up sounds coming from across the street. Probably also from itself, because every single cemetery in New Orleans could probably be hit up in this series.
Yeah.
Now, several accidents have occurred near the Katrina Memorial and the Potter's Field. What people report is they see someone staggering across the road like they are drunk, and they swerve to not hit them, and they hit a tree, or they hit another vehicle, and then all of a sudden the individual they swerve to miss is not
there.
there. So
Okay,
they
like
swerve to miss the wandering dead. And this has been caught on camera more than once. Taxis, dash cams, the security camera from the graveyard across the street, and even the bar that I mentioned a second ago, their security cameras have caught translucent figures walking from across catty corner towards them. Now, could this all be doctored? 100%.
Or could it be like the problem with like reusing tapes or
right?
Things
it
like
could
that?
be any of that, but at the same time, I give this one slight credence because there's over 12 accidents a year because of this.
Oh, a year.
A year.
Okay.
Now, let's see. Unearthly History Paranormal Investigation has caught multiple EVPs and ovulus responses of intelligent haunts while they were going through, and that's a YouTube channel. The memorial is shaped like the Hurricane Katrina image, and the mausoleums are built in a curve. And there's been noise from more than one of the mausoleums that has been picked up by tours. Not even nighttime ghost tours, but just people who go to pay the respects to the Katrina Memorial, and they hear something.
Yeah.
Now, people are more... Now, sorry, I wrote this really weird. Most people that are buried underneath here are buried 7 deep. So, if you find one body, if you dig about 3 feet lower, it's another. If you dig another 2 feet, there's another. You can keep digging down. It's almost like they're stacked like cordwood for a campfire.
Morbid.
Limited space, and you can only dig down so deep. Most of the graves in this area are as shallow as 1 foot from the surface.
So you could be walking around and like,
if you were to jump the fence and break the law, there's a good chance that in a good rain that there are going to be bones exposed. Now, there's lots of pictures of odd things. There's a lot of orbs. Ooh. There's a lot of ghostly, smoky specters that are seen. There's a lot of times that camera batteries die even though they're freshly charged.
So the usual sort of...
The usual thing. Cedric and Evie and their team got multiple EVPs of something growling. And Cedric actually got charged and knocked back through the trees by something. According to 2 other people than Cedric. They watched him get yeeted.
Okay, and he got charged? Like...
He said he heard something growl almost like a pig. And it felt like something charged and struck him, and then other people claimed he got knocked back.
Oh, wow.
So either multiple people lied, but I'll be honest, I believe them on this because I don't believe they would lie about that. Also, you know Cedric.
Yeah.
I don't think he would lie about getting yeeted off the ground.
He can embellish things, but also, like, I don't see him as, like, someone that's, like, going to straight up. Now, I've also been there. I've been on Cedric's Ghost Tour, and I've been once on my own. I will say this, it is a very creepy, solemn place. And there's 3 reasons for this. 1, it's a cemetery. 2, even when you're walking on the sidewalk for the memorial, you are walking over a grave. It is slightly elevated. There are pylons underneath. And the remains of, I think, about 4 individuals were dug up because while they were digging the pylons, they pulled up bones. So they dug up the individuals, and one of the mausoleums contains the individuals that were dug up to build the memorial. So that... I'm sorry, it's just like, whoops.
What? Let's give you a condominium of the afterlife.
Yeah, here you go. Don't haunt me, please.
So, me personally, my personal thing is I don't walk over graves. I feel it's disrespectful.
Yeah, that's actually something I don't do either.
So if you ever watch me go through a graveyard, or you watch me, especially in the churches where they fucking bury people on the floor, you will watch me like ninja warrior.
Yeah,
you
do the you kind of calculate in your head
like,
where
all right,
the body is going to
about
be.
6 feet, about 6 feet, right? Yeah, I'm going to go about 6'4", just in case you're a big mother.
Yeah, I know some people that will do like the whole thing where they'll diagonal. They won't step on the grave; they'll step over it though, and I don't even.
No, I don't want to step over a grave because I don't trust myself not to fart most days, and I don't want to do that on someone's grave. As much as that sounds like a joke, I don't want to disrespect the dead. Because, one, they can't defend themselves. But the big thing here is, like, walking through there, I stayed, like, other people, I'm going to walk over here. I'm going to look over here. I stayed on the damn sidewalk talking to Cedric during the tour, and he goes, don't you want to explore? No, I'm not stepping on a person's grave, Cedric. And he goes, wow. I go, yeah, no, I'm not stepping on a grave.
Yeah, I mean, even in my most atheist of like skeptic-y days, I still would be able to do it.
Now, the second reason is this is a Katrina memorial, and Katrina in and of itself is a moment.
Yeah,
and that you mentioned Katrina. It's like if you ever went to the 9/11 memorial, like you mentioned before. If you went to the 9/11 memorial, or like the Vietnam Moving Wall,
or just Hiroshima,
or any of these sites that something like that's happened, there is a reverence and a silence that I feel that is owed. The last thing I'll say is, I did not feel comfortable the second I walked through the graveyard gate. Now that could be because I got told a story and I'm me and I'm jumpy, but at the same time, I've walked into places and all of a sudden gone, nah.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good. I'm gonna step back out. So my experience is it's definitely a creepy place. And I 100% feel that this Potter's Field is haunted because, well, one, it's full of the restless dead because they're in unmarked graves, but also I do got to do the little bit of a skeptic thing. It's connected to Katrina. It's very solemn. There's three other graveyards right next to it. It's just spooky. It's a great place for a ghost story. Also,
there's a lot of vibes coming out.
Good chance you're going to find a homeless person that's living in it.
Right.
And they're scarier than ghosts, not because they're bad people, but because
like a stranger. It's like
a stranger, but also they need their medication. They need help getting off of addiction, and sometimes they need help. And when they just walk up, hey, buddy, you're like, I don't know you, and you just emerged out of the shadows like a goddamn vampire in the city of New Orleans. I'm not Saint Germain, I promise. That's what Saint Germain would say.
Right.
So, I mean, it's one of those. I'm going to say Charity Hospital, not haunted.
Like, you're saying the entire, like, spooky...
I'm saying, okay, every scary story they say about Charity Hospital
not real.
Haunted, not real. Is there a ghost in the building?
Maybe.
Charity Cemetery number 1, definitely fucking haunted.
All right. I enjoyed the hell out of this.
This was actually, I didn't go as heavy as I could have in this because, well, Katrina's I'm just going to go ahead and say Katrina's a motherfucker.
Yeah, Katrina's a motherfucker.
So that was a thing that, I mean, most kids younger than us don't remember it, but that's something we dealt with, and we didn't even deal with the bad part of it.
I mean, like I said sometime in this that I did deal with the robbery around that time.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that's, like, I was me being stupid, and at the time we had a lot of people in town that, like, they were all kind of just desperate.
Everybody was desperate. We had people literally living in the Civic Center and living in the
remember
the Coliseum at ULM when I was in college. Like, they had about 50, 60 people living on a basketball court.
Yeah. But anyway, we are Backwoods Obscura. We release every Tuesday on any podcatcher that you listen to, including Apple Podcasts. Finally, look at us. We're moving up. If you like this podcast, please like, share, comment, do all the things.
All those help us with the algorithm.
And we also post on YouTube on my channel, The Grapeflower, the space Grapeflower. If you like it, again, just go over there, listen to your favorite episode, like and comment, just make sure it bumps up in the algorithm. But also, we are Team Bonus Action.
Team Bonus Action is a charity RPG group online. We play mostly D&D video games and Pathfinder. You can find us streaming on Mondays and most Sundays on the Twitch channel, teambonusaction.tv, or TV. Is it TV.bonusaction or Team Bonus Action, or is it bonusaction.tv on?
Wait,
I'm trying to remember what the actual
Twitch.
Yeah, Twitch.
Just Team Bonus Action.
Team Bonus. Yeah, okay. You can figure it out that way. I don't need to give you the whole URL. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Skies, Threads. Let's say Blue Threads, and at our website, teambonusaction.com. You can also find us on the hellscape that is Twitter as bonus_team. And at the time of this recording, through the end of 2024, we are partnered with Extra Life and the Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals, specifically Batson Children in Jackson. If you donate to us, it will go directly to charity and help pay medical bills of families who are in very much need.
Yeah, and if you want to help, just check us out. We should be we stream mostly every week.
We'll be back. We'll be back still doing Shades on Mondays, and very soon we'll be back on Sundays after a short hiatus with Nace is going to be running a game, and then we're going to get back to Darrell, and then we'll have Extra Life Weekend in November.
Right, and I hope you have a good day or night, and I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Medicare should be free.
Should be free.
Actually, all medical care should be free.